Good morning, guys. It's Pete from MyJewelryBunch.com. Today we're going to take a look at this wonderful example of a water damaged and rusted out Rolex movement. This watch has been completely serviced. I've removed all of the rust and the watch runs perfectly. We have two issues left. The first issue, obviously you can see, is that the dial is delaminated. The lacquer's come off. The paint has delaminated off the dial. So we're going to get a new dial for that. And the other thing that you can't see is that the date ring, of course it says 23 there, underneath the dial is a date ring. The date ring's been rusted and has lost 4 or 5 of its digits. So we're going to go ahead and restore that date ring today. Let's get started. So the purpose of this video, guys, is to show you a test that I'm doing, whether or not I can replace or reprint the date ring with some waterslide paper. I'll put a link to the waterslide paper in the description below. The waterslide paper is going to replace the image that is on the date ring. So when I pull the dial off, you'll see the date ring is all rusted and destroyed. And I want to get that out of there, cleaned up, and replaced. We're doing this temporarily because we've ordered a new date ring for the customer. It's going to take a little time to get in, and he wants the watch back as soon as possible. Next step is to just gently remove this, and it comes right out. This watch has been completely serviced. Everything in the watch works perfectly. Here I'm just making an outline for measurement purposes. This is for my own information so that I can get an idea of where the number 1 indicator has to go on the watch and the exact diameter of the date ring itself. Again, you can see the rusted spots on that, and it does look pretty bad. Okay, so now I'm going to clean it. I'm going to clean it first with a little bit of acetone, see if anything comes off, and it probably isn't going to come off. And judging by the next step, I took some 2000 grit sandpaper. I wet down the date ring, and we sanded it very gently until the paint and lacquer had come off, leaving us with just a steel ring. Here you can see the results of that. I have a perfectly cleaned off steel ring and just a little bit of dried paint left on, and I'm just going to scrape it off ever so gently. Now it's time to design the print. What I've done here is I've taken an image of the date ring and I've overlaid it on top of my files using layers in Blender, and I'm just going to write down 1 through 31 for the date ring. I'm going to convert that into a ring so that we can rotate those letters around the steel date ring. So once I've got all that done, I'm just using tools in Blender here. Going to make a curve, and then we're going to add a curve to the text, which is the 1 through 31. It's not that complicated. If you do want to see me show you how to do this, leave a comment below and I can make a video on exactly how to do this in Blender. But it's not that difficult, and it works pretty easily and pretty well. Now it's a matter of just aligning the numbers to the image of the date ring so that I can print out exactly what I want. Once I get it sized to how I want it, then I'll just add some texture to the letters so that I can get the letters showing in black. It just helps me to visualize what I'm doing better. And of course these are going to be printed in black too, so just to give you an idea how it looks with the overlay, I still have to make a couple little changes to the numbers, but that does work pretty well. So one mistake I did make during this test was that I should have stuck with the thinner letters. I did add some boldness to the numbers. I should have just left it the way it was. The next trick here is just to add some spacing in between the numbers, and in Blender they make that pretty easy, so you can go in there and adjust that a little bit. Here you can see that's what I'm doing here. giving a little space in between the numbers. Once I've got that tweaked, the end result is that I have an image of a date ring that looks perfect and it is ready for export. And then we can bring it into any program. I'm using Apple's Page program, which is like Microsoft Word. And I'm just going to size it to fit, and then we'll export it or print it out in black and white. So once I've got printed on the waterslide paper, and that's what I'm using here. I'm using the waterslide paper, in this case the white background, and you can use white or clear. I'm just going to align the date ring with the image. I'm going to use a little bit of Scotch tape to hold the date ring down onto the waterslide paper. You can see that's what I'm doing here. And then we'll get ready for trimming. So I have to trim around the entire perimeter of the date ring, and hopefully I've got that all lined up right. We'll start by trimming the outside, and once I've got that done, I'll trim out the inside. And just take your time, do this very, very carefully, very slowly. You don't want to damage the part, and all you're really trying to accomplish here is getting the waterslide image onto the date ring. Once I've got the perimeter, or the inner perimeter done, I'm just going to cut out the excess, leaving me the teeth of the date ring on the inner circle all exposed with no printed image on it. So here you can see I've cut out the date ring image, and the date ring and the image of itself fit perfectly. So I'm just going to remove that excess bit of paper or tape. You got that Scotch tape on there, and then we will get ready to apply this. To apply the waterslide paper, just grab a little bowl of warm water and you soak this for about 15 minutes, and the printed image will come out onto like a sticky cellophane, and you can use that to glue onto, in this case, the date ring. One thing to note, if you're using any waterslide product for an inkjet printer, you do have to spray the paper after it's been printed with some clear varnish or clear lacquer. That way when you soak the paper or the waterslide paper in warm water, the ink doesn't spread or delaminate from the paper. I've already done that. Did that last night, let it sit overnight, and it dries pretty well. Okay, so here you can see I'm just aligning the waterslide paper or waterslide print onto the date ring just to get an idea. I'm actually going to put this on off camera, and here you can see I've wetted down the waterslide paper and I've stuck it onto the date ring. I'm just going to tap it dry a little bit, and I'm going to let it sit for about an hour and completely dry. And once it's completely dry, I'm going to come back and just finish the surfaces and make sure that everything is fine. Now you can tell that this didn't print in black and white, it printed in color, and I got a little bleed out through the color, which bothers me, but again, this is temporary. So once we get his new date ring in, at least he'll be able to see, all of the dates. And I've put the watch back together, put the date ring in, and taking a look at it, you can see here that it doesn't look too bad. It's when you get close to it, you can see that it's not perfect. But again, had I used just black and white printing, I wouldn't have had that bleed over, and it would have looked a lot better, and we might have gotten away with it completely. I'm going to do another test on this in the future, and we'll check the results of that. I hope you like this video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you can, share this with anybody you know who would be interested in it. Share it on social media. The more shares I get, the more views I get, and that helps my channel grow, and I appreciate it. Take care, guys. Thanks guys for taking the time to watch some of my videos. I really appreciate it. If you like these videos and you find them helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see new stuff that I put out, usually on a weekly basis, hit the subscribe button and you can get notified by clicking on that little bell. I really appreciate any sharing that you can do, and the thumbs up that I get if you like these videos kind of helps with my channel to grow. You'll see that in the descriptions and on my website I do put affiliate links to products that I show and use in these videos. those affiliate links give me a little small commission. Doesn't cost you anything if you buy them. And when you buy within the first 24 hours of clicking on those links, I get a tiny little commission that helps keep this channel going. Any little bit helps to keep this up and running. Again, thanks for taking the time to watch it. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up and share on social media. Take care, guys. Happy watchmaking and jewelry making.